video is part of a series where we're going to take a Photoshop mockup of a website, convert it to a static website, then take the static website and convert it to a WordPress theme, and then we're going to work with MAMP locally on that WordPress theme and eventually move it to a live server. To start, let's take a look at our Photoshop mockups and see what we have to work with. I think we have it in here. Mockups, perfect. Homepage. Let's zoom in. And it looks like it's a property queue of place to find a place, property listing website. So it looks like we have excerpts over here with a title for each of the posts. Cool. Title, description. There's a sidebar here with recent listings. So there's a picture and a title, and also archives down below, and a very small footer. We also have a listings example. So if we zoom in here, we have more copy, and we have a title, and we have a picture of the property, a type of apartment. This would be either a condominium, house, or a townhouse. Square footage, rooms, bathrooms, and this portion down below here, comments from discuss here. This space is going to be reserved when we move to the WordPress theme portion of this video series. We're going to install the Discuss plugin and have it be our commenting platform for this WordPress website. And the sidebar stays exactly the same, so that's great. Perfect. So let's start with the home page first. What I have here is a static folder. There's nothing in here. So what I want to work with is the Html5 Boilerplate. I find it's a really great way to get a project up and running really quickly. So we click here, click Get Custom Build. I'm going to click on the Classic here. Let's look at some of our options. So we have no template. Yep, Modernizer, perfect. We don't need the HTML5 shiv because it's baked right into Modernizer, and then Modernizer contains a bunch of tools and we can use when we work with our website to detect what what browsers features are available to us and then code accordingly. So this is a very useful and helpful tool to have. A jQuery, since we're going to be using WordPress, WordPress comes with jQuery built into it, so we won't be needing this. And a static website doesn't even have any jQuery. It doesn't look like it. And let's see here, we can get rid of all of this. Perfect. We don't need any of this. We're going to be adding all this stuff ourselves manually as we proceed with the project. Let's click download it. Take a look here. Perfect. So here's our static starter files. Grab all these, move it to our static folder. I'm going to be working with CodeKit, and CodeKit, move that over here, is a fantastic tool to use for all your web development projects. I use it all the time. So if I click on this, this is their website. It's like steroids for web developers. It definitely is. We'll be working with Sass in this project, and you'll see why it's such a great way of coding CSS. But the thing is, no browser can read Sass, so we'll need something like CodeKit to convert it to CSS. And CodeKit also helps with managing files, and organizing files, and merging files. It's just a fantastic tool to have in your toolbox, and it's only $32. So I mean that's really a bargain considering everything that it does. So here it is right here. So what I'm going to do is move the static folder so we can have CodeKit observe it. Great, there it is. And I'm also going to move the project folder static to our Sublime Text editor. So I'm going to be using Sublime Text for this project, but you're free to use any text editor you like. So I'm going to click and open the index. And if we do this, if you right click anywhere here and just open in browser, you can see the page just linking directly to the static page. And that's fine, but the thing is, it's not really connected to CodeKit in any way. So here's why CodeKit's so great. So if I go to CodeKit, click here, click on the server link. So all I did was click here, boom, address, cool. This is where the website is located. So if I go over here, now if you pay attention to this page here, while I make a change, let's say I take all this out and put something in here. If I save that, boom, something. So any changes you do, whether it's CSS or HTML, you save it here and it'll pop up over here automatically. So this saves you some time without having to go back and forth refreshing the page. You can actually kind of do this side by side thing where you have this over here and maybe you have this like this, something like that. And this really saves you a lot of time. Okay, so we have this. This is our Breakpoints HTML page. What I want to do is take this portion out. It's really no longer relevant. This is part of an extension. I think I read recently this extension from Google, they stopped supporting it. So let's just not bother with that at all. Let's leave this UTF-8. This is the title, description. Eventually we're going to have Yoast plugin from WordPress fill in our description portion here, but I guess we can leave it in for now, and we can leave this in for now as well. This is fine for responsive design. Normalize, this is your CSS reset. I use it with all my projects. Leave that in as well. Here's a main CSS. So if we look over here, here's this. Now, here's the thing. So I like to work with Sass, right? And this is CSS. So I do not like to work with CSS. So this is what I'm going to do. Move this over here and open our static folder and take a look at the CSS here. I'm going to grab this portion. I'm going to get rid of this. You'll see in a moment why. I'm going to take all of this. I'm going to move all these. Oops. Let's get a Sass folder in here. SCSS. Now remember, whatever changes you do here, CodeKit's watching. So just see how that's showed up over here. So you don't have to worry about it, but CodeKit's always watching what you're doing. So you'll see why that's important in a moment. So I'm going to take these two files and move it to Sass folder. Great. And what we want to do, I'm going to rename these. You'll see why in a second. Yes, use that. Perfect. Use that as well. Perfect. I'm going to go in here. Inside here, I'm also going to do a new one called custom.scss. Cool. So what do I do now? Because I don't want to have to link to, this file, and maybe another custom file. I don't want to do all that. I want to link to just one file and not have to worry about it. So in our custom.scss, I'm going to do something called import. This is different than at import where you import a different file where you would do something like this. This is not the same thing. What this does, it actually takes the file. CodeKit actually will see this and take the file and move it into custom.scss and eventually convert it to a CSS file. So the first one to move over is the main.scss. In fact, you actually just do that, and then another one import, and we have normalize. Perfect. And before, see, this stays in plain text. Let's change it to CSS so we have some color helping here. Here we go. Compiled successfully. Perfect. So if we look at this file now, everything's combined together. So the normalize is combined together. The custom is combined together. So it's really cool. But the thing is, this is all laid out this way. So I want to compress it. Let's do that as well. If I click on this file here, this file, perfect. And instead of output style nested, let's just do compressed. Now there we go. So if we look at this page now, see it's all on one line, compressed, really easy to go. So now if I go back to index.html, so I no longer need to link to these separately. I can just remove this, and all we need to do is just link to custom CSS. That's it. So that's really cool. Modernizer has to stay here at the top because it has to work with class Node.js. So that's sort of a caveat there for, as you know, best practice. You should keep all your JavaScript files here in the footer area, but we're going to keep this here at the top because that's how Modernizer rolls. So let's just keep that as is. Great. So we're almost ready to roll. We'll keep this for now. Although I don't think this layout will really need any JavaScript, we'll still link to this file. So in the future, if we decide to use some JavaScript, we'll still be able to do that. And it's already linked up and good to go. So that's good. So now we just want to work with this file, custom CSS. So now we're doing some Sass. So it looks like CSS, but it's not. It's much better than CSS. So take a look. So the first thing I want to do is sort of set up some helper styles, as I like to call them. This is the box reset model, I think it's called. So I'll just do this. And what this does, I'll show you in a moment. And we want to do some browser prefixes for this one here. So let's do a global. Great. And let's do Mozilla first. Lowercase it. Box sizing. Border box. So, and then we also have one for WebKit. You'll see in a moment why this is so useful if you're not already familiar with this. Sizing. border box, and last but not least, box sizing, border box. Okay, cool. I'll demonstrate this later on as we move into the project, why it's so useful to have in our arsenal, if you will. So what the Sass allows us to do is create different mix-ins, sort of different. You can think of them as little functions that you can use throughout your project. I like to size my font with rems, so I'm going to set up a little mix-in for me that'll convert pixels to REM. So they're very similar to how M's work, but it's much better, I find. You'll also see that once we move into the responsive portion of this project. So let's just call this mix-ins. Okay, let's create the first one. Create a function, calculate REM with a parameter of size. Cool. Let's take the $sign, make another variable, and what this one will take is whatever size we put, we divide it by 16 pixels, because 1 EM equals 16 pixels, and then we'll go ahead and return that as $REM size times 1 REM. Cool. Then we're going to go ahead and take this value and we're going to make a mix-in. Mix-in, font size. Okay, $size. Cool. So this will take that parameter, font size, $size. Cool. Oh, make that a variable. Oh, I'm sorry. Getting confused. Okay, cool. And then font size, calculate REM, $size. So it's a little confusing, especially if you haven't seen this before. So all we've done is create a function called calculate REM. Here it is being used again. And we have the rem size variable, which takes the size, whatever parameter we put in here, and divides it by 16 pixels. Then we were going to return this, whatever value this is, times 1 REM. And then we're going to take that value and then use it in here. So when we calculate the font size, we will convert it from pixels to REM, we'll be able to use this mix-in to do that, and this will do exactly that. So you'll see this in action in just a moment once we get into different font sizes. So that's cool. And another thing I want to set up myself is some breakpoints, some responsive design. Okay, breakpoints. These are also mix-ins. Okay, let's create a mix-in. Breakpoint, large, cool. And in here we have at medium, only screen, and max width, 60 EMs. Okay, cool. At content, you'll also see how we utilize all of these. This is sort of the setup portion. We're not actually doing any styling here. We're just creating different mix-ins that we're going to use in our project. Okay, medium and small. And the only differences we need to change here are the sizes here, 40 and 30. Cool. So these are different mixins we're going to use. We're going to use one to calculate the font size. This is the box sizing. Definitely something useful to have. You'll see why that is in a moment. And I think we're good for now. So let's just start coding. Let's start putting this thing together and see what all these different things do for us. So if I go back to my Photoshop here, see here that this box, so this looks like this purple color here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take all these colors and put them into variables also so I can use them throughout our project. So over here, put colors. All right, and there's a, let's see here. Okay, let's do this. Let's take the dropper tool here, and we're going to grab all the colors and store them into variables. So this is the first one, the purple one here. So if I take a look at the value here, okay, cool. Let's go into here, And we're just going to call this purple. You can call this anything you like, but it's just setting up variables. Let's create another variable by this orange color, very bright orange color. Oh, look at that one. D, and let's call this one orange hash. Okay, let's look around here. Oh, this looks like a green color here. Let's take that as well. Copy that over. And what I like to do is I'm not working, so down below it brings to the top this way. Here we go. And we're going to call this green. Nice. And let's take a look. And it looks like there's a light orange color here. Let's take this one here. Copy that and maybe put that underneath orange. So what I'm going to do is just call it orange light. And save that as well. Nice. I think that should do it for the colors, so we can just use those through our project. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is, so we set everything up. We got our variables going for our colors. We got our mixins for our breakpoints. We got our font sizing, and we got the reset. So that's all good to go. So let's start laying out the website. So I'm going to start with the wrapper. And if I look here, if I use this tool here and just okay, so let's use the selection tool. Let's just kind of roughly go from here to there and see. So it looks like the width is going to be 960 pixels wide. That's cool. So let's hop on over to our Sublime text, and I actually want to take the body and let's do the background color purple. And let's do our wrapper. Save that. So in here, div class wrapper. Cool. A little note here, and wrapper. Nice. Save that. Inside the wrapper class. By the way, I like to work in classes and use IDs only whenever there's an element I'm going to be working with that's going to work with JavaScript. So as long as I'm styling the website, if there's no JavaScript associated with it, I'm just going to use a class instead of an ID. Okay, so max width 960 pixels. Cool. And I'll leave this alone. Let's do a little padding on. Nope, we don't need a padding. What I'll do is I'm going to add a padding to the body. Padding 25 pixels, and you'll see why in a moment. So if I look at my website here, oh, look at that. It's purple. I didn't have to refresh anything. Very nice and convenient. We can close this. We don't need this. Then we just have our website here. So this is a wrapper, and wrapper, the first thing it has is the header. So let's start with that. So if we go back here, and let's do that right now. Header class equals site header. Okay, let's do that and header. And inside of here we have a title and a description, so that could be an H1. And it'll probably be a link, so that way if you're browsing the website, you want to click on that logo, you can click on it, it'll go back to the home page. So property Q, and then the second one, let's do that as an H2. This is the site description. A place to find your place. Okay, so if we look at this now, oh wow, look at that. Can't even see it. Okay, great. So the header has to be that orange color background, and the colors here have to be a white, and this looks like to be some sort of off-white. So if I use my text tool to select it, it looks like it's like a light beige. So if I go back in here, let's set up a beige in here as well. Let's do a $sign beige. Do that. Is that how you spell beige? Let's check. Yes. Cool. All right. So we have the colors going for us with the beige. So let's go ahead and do that as well. Site header, background, orange. Now, so it looks like all the text inside is centered. So let's do that right away. And so if I save this, changes automatically here. You see this little notification pop up. Very convenient, very nice. And let's see, this is let's see the color there. So this is where I'm going to do some nesting. This is why, so far, this looked a little bit foreign to you if you've never used Sass before. This looks very similar to CSS. Now we're going to do some more Sass. We're going to do something called nesting. So inside of site header, inside this container, we have an H1 and an H2. So let's do a little padding all around, 25 pixels. H1 and H2, both of these have margins already set up. Actually, we'll grab one by one. So H1, I'm going to just reset that just so I could sort of see it. Probably change this in a moment. Okay, perfect. And we have links in here. So the H1 has a link. So we'll nest that in here as well. So be careful when you do this. You can get really carried away. I mean, I tend to get carried away with nesting, and then it gets confusing down the line. I'm also going to create a white color here in case I decide to do like an off-white. Oh, look at that. We have an error. So let's see what's going on. Error invalid CSS. It even tells me on line 74. So we go line 74. Ooh, look at this. This is another great reason to have CodeKit working with you, because if you make a typo like this, boom, this shows up for you and you can find the mistake and fix it right away. So before we do that, let's grab the white. Let's fill that in, save it, and we're back in business. Cool. And it looks like there's no text decoration equals none, so that's going to go away. So let's look at this font again. So it looks like the font is pretty interesting. This looks like to be a Google font. It's called Arvo. So let's go ahead and link that up. So let's go to Google Fonts. Let's look for Arvo. There it is here. Let's go into it. We really need the bold version. And it looks like it's being used throughout. So we really just need the bold version with 700. So let's go ahead and take this link to it. I'm going to jump back into here. And let's create the link up here up top. Now there's a better way to link this up with WordPress, but for now, we'll just go ahead and use this. Okay, now we're linking to Arvo, so we can use this inside of here, and it even gives you an example of how to do that down below here. Very convenient, actually, because we're doing HTML5, we don't really need that either. So we go in here, H1, let's do that. So if we look back at our website here, oh, nice. Fonts don't look the same though. So let's see, this font here is 60 points. Okay, let's take a look. Let's do the font size, but let's use this mixin up here that we created earlier to work with this. So we're going to add include font size. That's not going to work, but let's just take a look and make sure. Oh, look at that, really big. Yep, that did it. Perfect. Oops. Property queue, not exactly the same size, but pretty close. No, yep, pretty close. Close enough. Close enough. We won't get hung up on that. And down over here, this font, let's see what it is. This is Open Sans Condensed. Interesting. So let's go ahead and back over to Google Fonts. Let's do Open Sans Condensed. Oh, okay, cool. Really just need the light version. That's this one over here. So we'll keep everything as is. Let's link to that as well. Let's head back over here. Maybe down below this. Save. We don't need the type. Clean that up a little bit. And let's just grab the property here and move that into the H2. There we go. We also need to size it. So if we look at this here, it gives us a clue 36. So let's do that as well for H2. Let's do that at include font size 32. Save that. And let's take a look at our page. Getting there. We just need that beige color for it. Okay, color. And let's do text transform uppercase. Let's save that. Looks good. Pretty close. Look at our Photoshop mockup. Yeah, not exactly the same because this is points, that's pixels. So go to preferences here. Let's see if we can do something about that. Type. Oh, okay. Look at that. Let's do that. Now we get a clear picture. So this 36, 60. Okay, there we go. Let's just work with that. Okay. Anyway, pretty close. Close enough. We're not going to get too hung up on the details. We can always change some things, and I think it's pretty close. Okay, moving on. Let's look at our website. This is the link. This is the description. All right, we got our header pretty much done. Another thing I want to look at is this body. Since we're looking at the Google fonts, this is Open Sans. So if we go back to Google Fonts here, let's go back over here. Open Sans. Here we go. Perfect. And normal, we're definitely going to use. I don't think we're going to use any of these. I think we're good for now. We can always change this later on as well. So let's just keep it as light as possible. Let's go back over here and link to a lot of Google fonts here. Save this. Take this portion out. And let's use this example here for our body. So unless we specify otherwise, the body will be Open Sans. Okay, let's just close this for now. And looking at the body here, so we have a sidebar that's green here, and this is the body portion that's white background. So what I want to do, because I bet these two won't match up all the time, I'm going to do a little bit, try something out, see if it works for us. Now, of course, you can do this maybe with Flexbox, but we're going to do this the old-fashioned way with floats. Okay, so let's do a section class. Body. Let's do container. This will contain, oops. So what this will do, this is going to contain this one, this box here, this big one here, and this one here as well. So it'll all be grouped together. And when I make this container, I'm going to make it green. You'll see that once we flush everything out, but I think that'll work well for us. So this container here, I'm going to create a new class, container, background, green. Save that. And I don't think you're going to see, yeah, you won't see anything. There's no content in here, so that's fine. And let's see here. So div class left side. All right, left side. And this is going to be our sidebar. Side class sidebar. Okay. Nice. So this will be the content on the left-hand side, and this will be content on the sidebar. And what I want to do, let's look at this again. So we have a container here, container there. So let's work on this container first. So it looks like we have a div, 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 and div, and div. So that's going to repeat itself. Those are articles. So let's do that. Article. So you notice I'm not styling anything just yet. Class equals post. Maybe we'll use this later on. End article. And inside of here, we have an image on the left-hand side. So let's do that. Div class left side. This is where the image will live. So don't be afraid of using too many divs. When I first started off building websites, I was always sort of trepidatious about using divs, thinking it's going to look too cluttered, this or that. You know what? It helps. Don't put yourself in a corner by limiting yourself with how many divs you use. So yeah. Okay, div right side. Okay. Cool. On the right hand side, we have an H1. It looks like there's going to be a permalink inside. And over here, we're going to have our excerpt. So if we copy this over, kind of drop it into here. This will be our title, and here's our short excerpt. Copy all that, drop it in here. So this is our right-hand side. Left-hand side is going to be a picture. So in this case, it's going to be this placeholder picture of this building here. If I look in our Photoshop, here it is here. If I go and duplicate that and make it a new, just so I could narrow down on that. So then trim. Okay, let's see what size this is. 288, 192. Sure, why not? I usually like to keep the sizes pretty consistent. Let's do. Thinking about cropping this. So let's do 250 by 175. Let's just do that. Okay, 250 by 175. Let's save this as not a GIF, but a JPEG. 60, that's fine. And save. Okay, let's go to our folder. Static images. So this is an example of a post image. Now this is not the place where this is going to live forever, but for the time being we'll leave it in there for now. Eventually we're going to have that go into our WordPress media section where it'll be stored inside the database rather inside the files in the WordPress structure. But right now we'll sort of make it a part of the theme, but later on we'll remove it from the theme. So anyway, so let's just focus on the static portion for now. So let's look at the image, source images. Let's take a look. Okay, post image1.jpg. Alrighty, let's take a look. Okay, there's our image. We don't need this to translate to French, that's fine. Lorem, okay, cool. So it looks like we're just missing a bunch of styling. That's fine. I think that pretty much covers it. If I go back to my Photoshop mockup, we can close this. Actually, let's leave that open for now so we can reference the size. Back over here. So we have our picture on the left-hand side and our content on the right-hand side. So if we go back to our code, we can start styling this. So container, the left side, background, $white. So let me just get this up over here. Oh, there we go. And let's see here, float left. And width, let's just try 75 width for now. And let's get the sidebar as well. Sidebar, I believe it's called. Float right. And let's do width 5%. Okay, let's see what's going on. Sidebar. So I want that to show. Oh, okay, I see what's happening. So the container this container, because I'm floating this, and I'm also floating this, it's collapsing. So if I'm not mistaken, if I go in here and look at the custom, rather main, scroll down, we have something called clearfix. See, it comes with HTML5 Boilerplate. It's a class I can use. So I'm going to go in here and add clearfix to this. Save that. There we go. Okay, stop bothering me. Never translate this site. Okay. Alrighty. So here's the look that we're sort of trying to achieve. And here's why we're getting closer as to explaining why we're using this. Almost there. Okay, so if we look at our container, so it looks like there's some padding here, which we need to add inside the left-hand side. So let's do that as well. Padding. Let's do 25 pixel. Save that. Oh, there it goes. So it looks like there's a lot of padding here and a lot of weirdness going on over here. Let's add some more styling and then inspect it and figure out what's going on afterwards. Right hand side, this has, okay, so this has to be floated to the left and this has to be floated to the right. These are inside the post. So if I go back over here, it's going to call post, left side, okay, float, left. Oh, one other thing I forgot to add up here. I'm going to add it down over here for all the images on the website. Max width 100%. So if the container gets smaller, the image will also get smaller. And height auto, so that will adjust accordingly. All right, back down over here. Okay, width, say 30%. And we'll play with this in a moment. Let's add a class. And then right side float right with 70%. And again, we need to go back over here and we need to add clear fix to this so it's not collapsing. Oh, okay, so that's not what we're trying to go for, but we're getting close. So we can look at our percentages here. Let's see here, 40 and 60. Okay, cool. Now, why do we have this really huge space here? Let's take a look. Let's use the inspector. Okay. If I look over here, this has a padding to it, and it's coming from left side. Oh, I see. Okay. So that's actually coming from over here. So we don't want that. So what I'm actually going to do in the left side here, I'm going to pull this post here, drop it into here. Let's give this a shot. Save that. Not exactly. Okay, so what's happening here is that, let me just X out of here, drop it in. So we really don't need this padding here at all, actually. Save that. Okay. And the reason for it, so this has a padding inside. So if we look at our code here, no, just double check what's good. Okay, let's inspect. Okay, right now there's no padding. Yep, no padding going on. Nothing. So we need to figure out what's the best way to add padding to this, just this portion inside of here. So if we go back over here, it's the left side container. So if you want to add a padding to this, but not add a padding to any of these, rather to this left side here, let's do that. Okay, and over here, padding equals 0. Probably refine this further, but I think for now it'll work. And it looks like there's a default margin. It's usually, if I inspect it, it should be 1 EM. So let's take a look. H1, oh, let's see. Oh, here it is, 0.67 EM. That's the margin here. So if I make that 0, that gets closer to what we're looking for. And the padding also has a margin built into it. Now, this is all because of normalize. So if we look in our, that's interesting. I thought it did. Font sounds light, 9 height. No, that's the HTML. Okay, strange. Okay, hold that thought. Okay, let's just leave that for now. Let's convert the H1 in here and margin 0. Something about it didn't like. Post. Oh, I see what's going on. This is our picture. There we go. Oh, not the look we're trying to achieve. So we need some padding going on. Okay, let's do that as well. On the postie on the right hand side, padding left, 25 pixel. Nice. So there's our look. So we're getting closer to our styles. So if we look at our Photoshop here, it looks like this is using the Arvo font, and it has this orange color, and there's no underline. So let's do that as well. So if we look over here, let's look at the A. I'm going to change this to the Arvo font. I think we used it before up over here somewhere. So we can go ahead and grab this. and use that in here. And we'll change this color to orange. And text decoration equals none. Save that. Still good. Oh, there we go. Getting very close to what our look over there is. And let's leave this alone. This is the open sans. Okay, I think this pretty much does it. So if we try to shrink this here, look, yeah, looks like the spaces are working out for us fine. So the reason why I used the box sizing, so here's the difference. See, I was very easily able to sort of calculate 25%, 75% as up to 100. I could still add padding to it, not have to worry about some weird sizing issues with the containers. Because if I didn't have this, let's just take a look. Let's just comment all this out and save it. If we take a look, see how everything became all funky. This dropped down. Very inconsistent because you have to then add the padding to the container width, and because we're using percentages, that becomes pretty difficult to do and pretty annoying to do. So instead of having to worry about it and have a more predictable way to lay out your website, you include this portion in your code, and there you go. Very predictable, very easy to work with. So that's cool. Okay, let's scroll down. All right, we're getting close. So what I'll do is just so I could see what they all look like on top of each other. Like this is just sort of an example of what it's going to look like on an actual WordPress website. Okay, so they're all see how they're butting up against each other. Well, that's not at all what we want. So let's fix that as well. So if we look at this here, if we just do our inspector, and let's kind of open this up a little bit. Let's look at this. Oh, okay. Oh, look at that semicolon. Okay, let's fix that as well. Back over here. No semicolon. Okay, let's save that. All right, now we get a consistent spaces. Cool. You know what I like to do also? Let's just take a look. Let's just be experimental on the fly, if you will. So for each of these posts, I'm going to do a border bottom 1 pixel. So let's do dotted. And I like the color orange light. So if I go to orange light, we save that. Oh, there we go. So we just need a little bit of margin at the bottom. Margin bottom, 25 pixel. Let's just inspect this one more time. P tag. Could have sworn there was a built-in margins with these. Strange. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that for now. So normalize will help us with that later on. Okay, so we'll just leave that for now. We'll investigate that further later on. Actually, what I'm going to do is convert this into 1EM. No. Let's do 20. Let's just work with 25 pixels. Okay, so there's our layout. So there's a post. There's a picture here. Looks good. If I squish this down, everything is relatively consistent. We'll worry about doing responsive design once we get closer to the light, because see how it breaks over here? That's no good. So the next thing we want to sort of zero in on is the sidebar here. So if we go back to our sidebar, we look at this here. We have our recent post heading, a picture, and a link to it. So if we go back over here, and let's look at sidebar. Actually, I'm going to grab this and move it down below over here. Let's work on that for now. So let's just do the HTML portion first. Here's sidebar. So let's do an H2. And inside this H2, we have recent listings. So let's put that in there. Recent listings. And then we have a picture. So let me save that. This picture, let's look at our sidebar in our Photoshop here. Sidebar, header, recent listings. Okay, that's fine. Listing, the first one here. Let's then duplicate layer, new. Okay, cool. Image resize, rather trim. Okay, let's see what size this is. 221 by 100. Let's do. Can we do that? Cancel. So can we just crop it to do 220 by 100? Okay, let's do that. 220. We'll just. I don't think anybody's going to notice that. There we go. Remember, we're not doing this. This doesn't have to be perfect. Eventually, we're going to have WordPress take care of all this for us. But for the time being, just for demonstration purposes, we'll just kind of work with this. And we'll just do this as a sidebar image one. All right. This is just so we have something to work with. This is not the actual final image we're going to eventually use. So that's what we want to use over here. And we'll probably make this a permalink so when somebody clicks on that picture, they'll actually go somewhere. Let's do image, source, there we are. This is inside the image folder. And let's go ahead and add the A. Let's take a look here. And we also need the title. Okay, lorem ipsum. Let's grab all this here. Go back into here. It's all included inside of here. We'll make this an H3 and H3. This also has to be a link, but it's inside of here. Let's just do that. Let's kind of group it all together and see how that looks. It might work, it might not. We'll just take a look and see. Let's save that. Let's look at our page here. Okay, there's that. Cool. One thing I do like to include rollover. So whenever you mouse over a link, it changes the color. So let's actually add that in before we get too far. So if we look at our post here in our A, so instead of doing this the old-fashioned way, repeating hover again and then putting your color in here, and maybe we'll put this as maybe green. Instead of doing this, we're going to pull this out of here, erase all this repetition. This is the beauty of Sass. Okay, that semicolon. So now what we have here is the link with the color orange, text decoration equals none, and colon hover color green. So if we go back to our page here, look at that. Looks good. So here, very similar kind of idea we want to work with. But before we even do that, it looks like there's no padding here either. So if we look at our layout here, there's a little bit of padding. So let's be consistent with that. And before I use 25 pixels, that may be a bit much, but let's just take a look. 25 pixel. There we go. Oh, cool. Okay. Looks okay. Let's go back to here, H2. So if you look at our Photoshop mockup, it looks like it's an orange color, goes all the way across with white text inside. Not at all what we have here. So let's try to fix that. So let's do margin 0. So let's just have this off to the side here so I can look at it. Okay, let's leave it at that. Okay, margin 0. Cool. Actually, we're going to need more than that, but let's before we do that so I can see the background color. Orange light. Cool. Color light. Text decoration. Oh, not text decoration. Transform. Uppercase. And if I take a look at this font size, it's 16 pixels. So if I go back over here and include font size 16 pixels. Oh, no, not. Oh, error. See that? Typo. Error line 138. If I go back here, 138. Oh, we can't have this. See how cool CodeKit is? Okay. Oh, look at that. We're getting close. Not exactly what we're looking for, but we're getting close. So we're going to need to use negative margins to get the desired look. So because we had 25 pixels, we need to add 25 pixels to the top, negative 25 pixels to the right. Let's add 1 EM to the bottom here. Actually, let's do 25 pixels to the bottom there, and then negative 25 pixels there. So let's just take a look and see. Okay, cool. So it looks a little bit of padding there, so let's do that as well. Padding, maybe top and bottom have 15, and left and right have 25. Okay, and let's do text align equals right. And let's actually squish this from the top some more. All right. Let's look at our Photoshop mockup. Yeah, looks pretty close. Yeah, it's a little thick, but let's see what this looks like with 5. Yeah, I think that's good. That's fine. We'll go with it. Remember, we can always make minor adjustments later on, but I think for now it's close enough. And we just need to change this link here, font, to this color. And we need to also change it to the Arvara font. Let's go back over here. Oh, here we are. And let's target the link. Color, white. What kind of hover state do we want? Because, it is on a green background. I'm just going to use text decoration equals underline. Because I think that way it'll be easier to see instead of having to worry, worrying about the colors clashing or something like that. So I think for the time being, this is going to work just fine. Should refresh on its own. I don't know why it's stalling on me unless I didn't do something right. Oh, yep. See, not even targeting the right area. See, that's why it's always good to pay attention. Let's do H3. So if we look over here, H3 is inside of here, but it's inside of a link. So why don't we do this? There we go. So now we have the sidebar and whatever link it's going to find, which is only this. There you go. But we want the font to be the Arvara font. Move that in here. Okay, cool. Looks a little thick, but I think, let's see. Yeah, it's pretty thick. I don't like the way that looks. It looks a little hard to read, as you can see. So let's go back to Google Fonts. See what's going on here. See if there's any more options we have for that font. Arvaro. How do you spell it? Arvo. Okay, for some reason, I can't remember that name of that font. Arvo. There it is. Just go into it. So we want the normal. I don't think we had the normal before. I think we just had the bold before. So I'm going to grab all this again. Head back over to our Sublime text. Move into here. Go up to the header. Yeah, see, we just had the 700. So if I copy all that over, so now what we have is access to the 400 weight. So if we go over here and change this to font weight 400, yeah, I think that's going to do it. There we go. Cool. So you're going to mouse over the picture. It looks like this lights up as well, so it's all kind of connected. I think that works. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Okay, so let's do this so we can just sort of observe this. Now, what I want to do is eventually I'm going to have widgets in here. And that's exactly what this looks like to me. It's going to be a sort of a custom solution for us. Let's do this. It's just for consistency's sake. Div class widget. Remember, don't be afraid to use divs. Widget. Save that. Let's do some more examples. There we are. And down below over here, so this would be really cool. Okay, that's fine. And down over here, let's do another div class, also widget. So you may be wondering what I'm doing here. So if you look under here, we need an H2 with archive setting and just an unordered list. So we're going to have a widget take care of this. So this will be a custom solution, but over here it'll be a widget area. So we need an H2 with archives. And let's do unordered list and unordered list. without the question mark. li link. And I think we just have some dates over here. December 2014. Nice. It's going to repeat itself here. It's fine. Just for demonstration purposes. So we look over here. So the only thing that looks a little funky is this little area here. Oh, and this font. That's not all we want. So let's go back over here. Let's see why that is. We included the font specification in the wrong style, so we just want that over here. So save that again. There we go, back to business. So yeah, so I don't like this. So what we could do is after each widget container at the bottom, we can add another padding to it. So widget margin bottom 25 pixel. Okay, I think that should be fine. No, you know what? Let's add a padding. Let's use the inspector, see what's going on. If we look at our widget container, yes, we need a padding. So if we change this to padding, bingo, that's exactly what we want to achieve. So let's just change this to padding. Save. Very cool, very cool. Not a fan of this, but you know what? We're probably going to have a lot more posts here. Ideally, we're going to have more posts. This box here will be taller than this box here, so we'll have the achieved look that we're going for. So let's not worry about that too much right now. And the thing I want to do is that the unordered list, so if we inspect this, see how there's a padding here. So by default, if you use unordered list, there's a little bit of padding on the left-hand side there. So if we just kind of mouse over this. Okay, so if we, let's say, remove the padding, we get this. Well, it's not exactly what we want. Do that. Yeah, see. So I think by default, I'm trying to think what would be the best one. Yeah, I think that should do it. 15 pixels all around. I don't want it to be on the left-hand side. Yeah, I want this look. This is the look I want. Let's just do that for now on unordered list. Down over here, that's going to be inside of here. Cool. Save that. Okay, let's go back to our site here. Oh, okay, cool. Alrighty, I think that should be good for now. Just check one other thing. Color. Yeah, so what I did was the little bullet points here, I made them white as well. So I changed the color of the text, so that looks good. Okay, so we're almost there. So let's look at our footer area. And we'll scroll down over here and under container. So the container, if I look at my style sheet here, it has that green color, which is not what we want. So outside of it, we'll do footer class equals site footer. Let's go ahead and do that. Site footer, cool. And inside here, very easy. We can actually go ahead and grab this text here with our text tool. If Photoshop decides to respond, there we are. There we go, grab that. Let's just plop it in here. Okay, so the site footer here, it has a background color of orange. If we scroll down, let's do that over here. Site footer, nice. Let's do background orange and color white as well. And let's do a padding 25 pixel. Maybe top and bottom we'll do 10 pixel. Let's just take a look and see what that looks like, shall we? Alrighty, so that's interesting. Property Q. And let's uppercase these two here. Nice. And let's do text align equals center. And then text decoration transform. Uppercase. And let's make it a little bit smaller. Include font size 14 pixels. Okay, nice. So if I inspect this right now, I'm going to show you something. Yes, see how we have this convert to a rem size? You'll see why once we move into responsive design. So every time I use this mix in here, it converts it to a rem size, and you'll see why that's so useful in a little bit. Okay. So the other thing too is this is all off to the left side, so we don't want that either. We want to go back to our wrapper here. Let's fix that as well. Margin 0 auto. And let's save that. Cool. This is pretty close to what we were looking for with the home page. Okay, so now this is done, we can move on over to our listing page and just do a sample of what that would look like on the listing page. So I'm not going to worry about this here space here at the bottom for now. It kind of looks kind of cool, maybe, but I think this is good for now. And we have our repeating content here on the sidebar. We have our archives. This will be the widget area. We have our listing posts with an excerpt here. We have our pictures we're going to use, and I even included a little divider for each of the content, and our footer areas right here. So we're well on our way.